into love lies in the truth, my love. We're ready to dive into family dynamics and,
Mm.
you know, unpack the things and look at the things that affect us, right? And look at the things that haunt us, the things that kind of come back and show up in ways that we may not have been expecting in terms of like family dynamics and old relationships that you may have with yourself and things like that.
Mm. Yeah. This is a weighty subject.
Mm.
It can be. I feel vulnerable going into
Yeah.
this one,
And
which means it's a
in my,
conversation that needs to happen.
well, exactly. Well, yeah, it's a conversation when you're feeling it like that, when it's feeling heavy,
Mhm.
right? That's a conversation that you want to have, right? So that you can let it go, so that you can understand it better. You can understand yourself. I in this context can sort of understand more about what's going on with you. I
Mm.
think I understand why it's feeling a little heavy for you in this moment,
Mm.
right? Because you had some family stuff like yesterday,
Mm.
and I imagine that's why you feel more present to the conversation in general right now.
Yeah. Well, there's also we put all of our stuff out here, and there's also some fear around my family listening in on some of these things. I would hope that if they do end up listening to this episode, I would hope that they would listen through the whole thing. I would hope that my family would be objective. I grew up in an environment that was very loving in the sense of like I always knew that I was loved. Um, but it was like the ways of communication and the ways of expressing that were incredibly different than what I was comfortable with. I like
What you
communication
needed
or what I needed. Um,
what you needed at a time where you were too young to kind of understand these things or express them verbally.
sure. And at a time where I didn't understand that they're human too. They're people too, going through their own lives and their own traumas and trying to just navigate life and whatever their coping mechanisms were. It was what it was, and it wasn't always the healthiest. Um, so that leads us to our subject, really, which is how family dynamics can show up in relationship and why we choose past partners the way that we chose in unhealthy relationships, or even how those dynamics can show up in relationship.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And certainly that how past dynamics, or particularly how family dynamics show up in current relationships, and this relationship is what's on my mind
Mm.
for myself. I mean, you touched on your family's like communication style
Mm.
and being misaligned, or being something that you didn't get, that you didn't understand as a younger person. And I relate to that.
Yeah.
I basically relate to the way that you described your growing up, right? I knew that my parents loved me, and as like in the passage from the book that I shared with you the other day,
Mm.
right? It's
Mm.
like, I personally didn't feel like it was a home exactly. I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like I belonged in that family, right? Which was only me and my parents. I don't have any siblings,
Right.
right? Which probably just made the whole thing worse, because I had no one to confide in. I had no one to collaborate with, or it was just like it was a bubble, just me and my parents. And Yeah, I didn't feel like I belonged there. I didn't feel seen or heard in particular, and that has a huge effect on every other relationship as you go through your life, even when you're getting to or have got to a place like we have, where we're very self-aware and um, very much in a place of having processed and healed so much, right? At least we see things as they come up. We have the capacity to observe our own behavior, mostly in a objective way, right? So I can recognize where I'm feeling anxious, right? And why am I feeling anxious? Well, because I never really felt like I belonged anywhere. So sort of learning to really accept that I belong to me, right? And now that I belong to you, that's like, it's been a pretty big challenge, because true belonging is an unfamiliar thing for me, right? And that is a family dynamic. That is like when my past begins dating my partner, right?
I have an older sister, she's about 4 years older than me, and, she was always, like, the good kid, like, the one who did everything the way she was supposed to do it, and it's like we grew up in the same household, but we had 2 very different experiences with our parents, and I think that's true for all siblings, I would think, just based on, talking to people throughout my
Hmm.
life. Um
It's certainly true for a good friend of mine who has a brother and a sister, and
Mhm,
they're quite different in age, and they
mhm.
all, except for the youngest one, the two older ones, agree that each of them has had a very different experience with their parents.
Well, yeah, totally, and, I mean, I can't speak for my sister, I mean, she works hard, she's a good mother, she went to college and did the things that she was supposed to do, and I show up and, I'm an intuitive, sensitive, empathic person who with all the things that goes along with this questioning and philosophizing with a wild imagination, and my parents were like, "What?" And, I mean, I understood that, even I kinda did understand that even in retrospect, even though I couldn't articulate it as a child, I did understand that they didn't quite know. They did let me know, like, "We don't know what to do with you." Like, "We don't know how to answer that. We don't know." And if you didn't know how to answer the questions, like, I was thinking, like, "Why do I sense energies around me?" Like, questioning theology, questioning my upbringing, um, questioning my religion and my spirituality, even as, like, a very, very, very young child, and it was very much like "Well, that's cute that you're questioning it, and it's a phase, and it's like, we'll just do this." But it does pose this fear in them. They feared for me. I knew they feared for me.
Mm,
There was just a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of, like, "Let's not talk about that." And, there wasn't communication. It was like, "Just listen to what we're saying," and then if I mentioned, like, "Hey, I'm feeling this," or "I'm feeling hurt," or "I'm feeling" I was very much told that I was being overly sensitive or that I was whiny, and I was whiny as a child, but it was like I didn't have what I needed to express what was going on, or know how to articulate, and I didn't have an outlet.
sure.
Um, so
And I can see that when the things that you're experiencing, the things that are real for you, or the imaginative questions that a child may have that fall outside of what their parents are comfortable with,
mm,
I can see how if if a parent is incapable or unwilling to be open-minded enough to interact with the child in that way, then they're just going to, as you described, they're going to shut you down. They're going to
Mhm,
tell you essentially, in the way that you were describing it, what I was hearing is that you're wrong. What you're
mhm.
feeling is wrong. The questions you're asking are wrong, which leads to the idea within you that, the way that you are and the person that you are is wrong.
Right, and that's made me seek their approval, right? Like, of course, I'm a young child. I looked up to my sister because I loved her, and she was my older sister, and, like, I would try to do the same things that she was doing, and I would try to do all the fit in things, and I would try to seek their approval, and yet, there was this authentic part of me that they didn't know how to cultivate.
Mhm.
And this isn't a poor me segment. I'm a much stronger human being from the experiences that I've had. Like, I love who I am today.
Hmm.
And I even loved those aspects of myself. Like, I there were some things I feared about my abilities and the things I was seeing and sensing and everything else. And yet it was still very exciting to me. And I still remained curious. I just figured I'll explore that later when I get older. How it used to show up in the past relationships would be like I was incredibly insecure with who I was. Like, I didn't know what kind of value my voice actually had, so I would be, like, overly controlling, um, and toxically protective of myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me to see how a person can spend their whole lives seeking approval from their parents. You know, it's just like the seeds of an idea, the thoughts that get planted in a child's head just take root so thoroughly, right? That even as a grown ass woman or a grown ass man, you're still kind of wishing for that to be seen the way that you want to be seen by your parents.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, because other people see me,
Hmm.
you see me,
Yes, I do.
my close friends see me. I have a beautiful circle of incredibly strong, amazing, accepting, speaking the same kinda language soul family that's around
Hmm.
me. Um, and there's still this aspect that I've been healing and working to let go of, where it's like I wanted my blood family to be a part of that,
Mm,
of that camaraderie and
sure.
that understanding and that support, and they just don't have the capacity to do it, and I don't force it on them.
Just like my parents, they have their limits in terms of processing power and open-mindedness and vulnerability and capacity to express themselves, from an emotional point of view. I've learned so much in the last decade about my parents, and I've learned it through the process of going through serious family conflict, right? Serious conflict between like my mom and one of my kids. And it's just like where I I had to choose a side. And of course I immediately, without question, chose my child's side,
Mhm.
defended her against my mom. And just like through a lot of and my own breakdown and just all the crazy that happened after that, and looking at my mother's communication style, and um having the yeah, being unable to see eye to eye, and being disowned by my parents for a while, and just and I was okay with that. Like, that's fine, and I let it sit, for as long as I chose to let it sit for. And then when I was ready to reinitiate communication, and when I was ready to weather the initial rough waters of reconnecting, when I was ready to hold my mother's fucking hand and forge a new relationship with her, that's what I did. And I'm very proud and happy to say that it was a success. And I have the best relationship with my mom now that I've ever had. And we have I have very clear boundaries,
Mhm.
and they do not get crossed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yep.
within that framework, within that new understanding, within that new relationship, I feel very secure within myself. I know me, I know my worth, I know where I'm coming from, and I know why I have these boundaries with my mom,
Mhm.
for instance, right?
Mhm.
And that has all come about through an incredible tumultuous, uh, very difficult, painful sort of process.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's, when it was easier for me to hold boundaries when I didn't live here.
Hmm.
It was easier for me to be away and maintain my boundaries because I could just say, "Okay, I'm getting off the phone now,"
Yeah.
or I'd, come into town and visit, and it's a short amount of time, and I meet them where they are, and there you go. And so, I and it was great. I mean, like, we had such a great relationship when I didn't live here. And,
Sure.
and there's still so much love between us. I mean, that's not even a question. I love
Mm.
them ridiculously, and they love me too.
Mm.
Just because there's no understanding about the deeper aspects and the depths of who I am, it doesn't mean that I don't accept their love and that I don't love them as well. Um,
Sure.
I think
You just
here.
you need you're in a position where you get to look at them for the human beings that they are. You get
Mhm,
to you get to observe their patterns, and I know you're great with patterns.
I
You
am
get
very good with
to
patterns.
you get to observe, the repetition of behaviors, and the little cycles that happen again and again and again.
Yeah, over the past 2 years that I left Georgia, um, I never really talked about my personal life with them. It was usually just talking about work. They were used to my job. That was very easy. I left my personal life out of it. I found out all the stories that were being told about all the folklore that was being told about me, um, of all the repeated stories of my past that they keep bringing up that they think are funny stories, but it's really like stories of all of the mistakes that I had made in my life. And yet some of them can be kind of funny, but some of them are very embellished.
Sure.
So much so that I'm like,
Mhm.
whoa, like, I mean, bringing up stories that were circulating around me. And since I wasn't around as much, it's like they got stuck into this folklore of Amy.
Sure.
And I remember sitting with my niece one time and she was like, "Hey, I want to ask you your side of all of the stories and all the things that I'm being told because anytime I was doing something bad, I would be told I'm like Aunt Amy. But anytime I was doing something good, I would be told I'm like my other aunt." And I'm
They
like,
would
"Oh,
be
that."
told.
Yeah, so they would be like, "Oh, when you do something good, you're like this one over here, but when you're doing something bad, you're acting just like Aunt Amy." And there was like this constant comparison that being like me was a bad thing. And this brings me back to like the family dynamic of bringing it into relationships because I would be so used to being told that I'm bad. What you're doing is bad. It was all these conceptions. We're going to treat you like you're bad before you're bad.
Kind of
And
makes you want to be bad, doesn't it?
it absolutely made me want to be bad. So I would seek out bad things.
Hmm.
I sought out trouble. I sought out drugs and alcohol. I just wanted to be like, I'll show you and give you something to worry about that. Like I was kind of like a rebellious little shit in
Sure.
a way. Sure.
It seems like a perfectly reasonable response,
I would say
honestly.
maybe,
If
maybe.
you're at a significant level, you're rejected
Yeah, but it
for
was
who you
so
are and
yeah.
constantly um, told that you're wrong and you're bad,
Right.
in one way or another.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but what was so conflicting is that on one hand, it was like, she's you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, she's bad. And then I would get the compliment or the encouragement of, you know what, you're doing things your way. I may not understand you, but I'm proud of you. Oh, okay. So then I would get my hopes. Like, and this was a repeated pattern, like all throughout my life, where it's like, well, you didn't do it the way that I understand it. I don't understand you at all. I don't know what's going on, but we're proud of you and we love you. And you did it your way and it's really working for you. And I can see it and you stuck to your guns and we're proud of you. And I'm like, great, that's awesome. And then you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. So it was, this dynamic of what I thought love looked like,
Hmm.
how I would bring that into relationships is being told that I'm not worthy and yet seeking praise. Because as long as you told me that I was wonderful and that you loved me, that meant that you loved me regardless of how I was being treated.
So
Yeah. And it's
it's
like,
eventually, I'm not really directing this explicitly at you, but like in that kind of situation, eventually you got to decide to stop bashing yourself against the rocks, and sail away a little bit.
well, there's so much that I worked through and so much that I healed while I was away. And I had such strong boundaries and I still have them. Not everybody needs to understand me, and that's fine.
Mm,
I had no sense of what self-worth was supposed to look like. I just
mm,
wanted to be chosen.
yeah, I relate to that
Yeah. I wanted to be
as
told
a
that I
as
was,
a young man.
yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to be chosen.
Well, now you are.
Well, and I choose myself.
Hmm.
And I think that's,
Critical.
of course, I mean, when I look back at the patterns of all the relationships that I've had prior to this one, all of the toxic relationships that I had had, I showed up as an unhealed person in those
Sure.
relationships and take full responsibility for the contribution of the toxicity.
Mm,
Um, and I think that's a hard thing for people to admit. And even though there could definitely be a higher percentage of damaging actions that happen on behalf of one of the parties,
sure.
I still contributed because I chose to not have boundaries.
Hmm.
I chose because I didn't know what those looked like. I just figured if you chose me, I'm going to give you everything that I could, and maybe I can be your savior and I can be there and I can save you, and then you'll think I'm good.
Right. And if they think you're good, then perhaps you might actually be good.
Yeah. And if I can have this relationship with the man and have the life and look at me, like, and it's all because of me that he has this really great life, maybe my family will actually see that I'm good too.
Mm,
I mean, if he chooses me, good, right? Because all they want to do is see me settled.
mm. Such simple, powerful drivers that can drive a person crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, family dynamics had shown up in so many ways in my spiritual practice, in my sobriety, and all the things that mean so much to me, who make me me, that if in relationship, if you weren't aligned with that and it didn't bring me peace, then I wouldn't be in this relationship.
Sure.
Like, I feel just as peaceful. We were talking about this the other day. I feel just as peaceful being right next to you as I do being alone.
Yeah. And isn't that magical?
It is.
Yeah. I feel more at peace with you. I feel really peaceful with myself. I'm real good at being in solitude. You know, I'm real good at being with myself. You know, and before it was before I was in solitude because I was so disconnected from myself and from the world, right? Because I didn't know, I didn't have that sense of belonging. I didn't have that sense of acceptance. I didn't really know what emotional intimacy or being seen felt like. Never experienced it before, right? So before I was in solitude in no small way, regardless of how many people and relationships I had in my life, because I didn't know how to be any other way. And now I have spent quite a bit of time in solitude with myself because I choose to, because I chose to, right? Because I had a lot of work to do on me. So the point is that I'm super good at being on my own. And now that I know myself and love myself, I really enjoy my solitude,
Hmm.
right?
So,
And I enthusiastically invite you in and have you with me because you just enrich my life so much. And it doesn't interrupt the peace that I feel when I am in solitude. You know,
mm,
you enhance my life in every way, including my peace. That's how I feel about that.
like that shirt.
Hmm. Thank you. I like it too. It's kind of a, it's a little bit of a Hawaiian shirt. It's kind of like, it's like a linen, it's a linen kind of modest, or not modest, but sort of like a quiet Hawaiian shirt in the way that it's cut and styled. It's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, I'm just based on what you said, I'm envisioning unbuttoning it.
Hmm. I can tell. Come on, then.
I'll see you in 3 days.
You know where I live.
You know where I live.
Come and get it.
I'll see you in 3 days.
Hmm.
Um, yes to all of that. Like, when I was in relationships when I wasn't as healed, um, before I spent my time in solitude, because I spent 4 years being single and
Hmm.
just in solitude. Plus, I was in lockdown, so I was really in solitude.
Yeah.
I decided, I decided to go to therapy. I highly recommend therapy for folks. I think
Same.
what Yeah, and I think that there were certain I started noticing that some of the men that I was attracted to would have very volatile tempers,
Mm.
um, very explosive. emotional outbursts, um, and would say very harsh, mean things,
Mm.
terrible things. And I was like, whoa. And I could feel that feeling. It was like I had done all this work on myself on therapy and family dynamics and the trauma that came with it. Um, and then it was like all of the patterns of all of the unhealthy relationships that I had. So I took that time to really investigate how those feelings showed up for me and manifested physically. So how my neurological system would manifest that physically in my body. And I started paying attention more to the actions of people rather than words, and that helped me understand the actions. And I was like, no, I don't want any of that, thank you, but this is not for me. And there was just so great to think, oh, I don't choose this, I don't want
Mm.
this, I choose, I have a choice, rather than, oh, you choose me. I was like, I don't choose this.
Right.
It wasn't even like I don't choose you, I just don't choose this. Like, it wasn't even like an accusation thing for them, it was just, I don't choose, I do not choose this.
What a world of difference.
Yeah, it's huge. Because I know that the problem that I would have in dynamic is that, even explaining away or excusing away behaviors, even in family dynamics, that would show up, and excusing them away, knowing, like, I know they're a hurting person and I know that they have trauma to heal, and I knew all that stuff. So I would see the goodness in the person and accept all the bad about them, no matter
Mm.
how shitty it was being done to me, and how it was
Sure.
bringing chaos into my life, and confusion, and turmoil and all those things, guilt, shame too, right? I would be like, I could see the good in each of these people, and I would accept this terrible behavior
Mm.
because I would see the good, and because I always wanted to see the good in everybody. And then I remember there was something that, like, switched off in me when I was getting a divorce, and I was like, oh, I can still see the good in you, but this behavior just far outweighs
Mm.
all of that, and this is a really, really bad situation for me to be in. This is not good. I need to go. And and even though I didn't judge their heart, I judged
Mhm.
the actions as, like, I have to go. This is not getting any better, it's getting worse. And
Sure.
this is a trend. And then that's what I started paying attention to, was like I could still see the good heart in people. But I'm like, I'm choosing that I don't want this. I want the good actions along with the good heart. I want the healed heart.
Yeah.
I want the healed mind
Well, absolutely.
of
When
somebody.
you have healed that much that you know that you want the healed version of the other person,
Hmm.
or at least healed to a similar extent, sort of matching you,
Hmm.
right? Then it's reminding me of something one of my favorite mentors taught me, right? Which was with him, I was learning a lot about human behavior and psychology and hypnotherapy and NLP and all of these things, and it was fantastic. I spent almost a year with this guy, and it was so good. And when you're on that healing path for yourself, right, and you're sort of awakening and your awareness is changing and all of that, especially when you're getting into the coaching realm and the working with other people, it gets exciting and you want to help everybody, right? Because you see, as you just described, you see their good heart, and you understand how they are likely operating from a place of trauma or unhealed whatever, or childhood stories that don't serve them anymore, and all of that. And the thing that my mentor told me that I love is just to say, okay, right? You might want to dive in, you might want to help them, you might want to offer them all this amazing advice that you just learned and all these things. And in your case, as you described, you see the good heart and you want to be there for the good heart, right? And the next level is to see how it's not your responsibility to fix them or hold their hand while they rage and find their way. It's like, I have the tools. I can help you. We can talk through this. I could help you substantially. And they make it clear that they don't want it. And you're like, okay,
Okay.
good luck to you. No problem. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's why, I love my family. I'll continue to love my family. They ever need anything, I will be there without question. I will be there. I continue to show up and I hold my boundaries.
More and more.
Yeah, it gets stronger and stronger. I learned how to hold them in friendships first. I learned how to hold them in friendships. Then I started to learn how to hold them in romantic situations. And that is kind of like it goes back the relationship that I was seeking romantically.
Mm.
And I was in full acceptance that it might not happen for me. I was in full acceptance of that. Like I would have no expectation. Like this is the only kind of relationship that I will accept. Is the relationship where I feel seen, I feel at peace.
Mm-hmm.
The other person is in it with me to protect it and understand that it's sacred, as well as being playful and and beautiful chemistry and all those other things involved
Sure.
in it. But I mean, at its core, those were the things to be met in that way and to actually, here I am, and wants to actually see me and connect with me and show me themselves. I was like, that's the relationship that I want. And I remember saying, universe, bring them in. I can feel it.
Mm.
Like, I'm ready. Let's go. And then, boop, you show up.
Boop. Yeah.
I mean, literally, that's what it felt like.
Mm.
I was like, universe, woo. And then 3 days after I made that declaration, you popped in my mind to text message you. And I asked you out.
You sure did. Mm.
I kept it safe. I asked you for coffee.
Yeah. Well, that's a reasonable thing to do.
I'd say. I thought so. But yeah, I mean, I continue to be in this because you continue to meet me.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you honestly, I don't think that I had pictured being met in this way, being aligned, being matched in this way. I don't think that I was anticipating ever achieving that. And it honestly has been a great and beautiful surprise to realize how well aligned we are and how well we meet each other and how well we communicate and how, you know, how we see each other. It's been pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize, I think what I'm trying to say is that I didn't realize how great such a thing could be. I didn't realize how important and how valuable
Mm,
such an alignment could be. And I literally, when I describe it that way, when I describe us to somebody, to a friend, to whoever, that doesn't kind of already know the story, when I have described our relationship in those terms of really being seen, being met, being matched, being, challenged, being loved, being, it's like, oh my God, when I describe it like that to like new people, the consistent response is like, holy shit, I really wish I could find something like that in my life. Or, the response is like, man, that's like everything I would ever hope for, or, you know what I mean? I want that in
I
my
know.
life. Oh my God, you're so lucky. And
Look, yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
it is a beautiful thing. I have had bits and pieces, very small bits and pieces, like breadcrumbs from other relationships. And then I got like maybe half a sandwich. It was really delicious from that relationship. I got a sandwich. Like, but with you, I got the whole loaf, baby. And it's never ending. No, it's a terrible metaphor. When I met you, it was, and we started, like, it was just, I can't even explain it. Like, there's not even words that are adequate enough to even articulate the, it feels like a miracle. And I mean that it just feels miraculous. It's in every single category that is meaningful to me. It's a spiritual experience with you every time. Holding your hand is a spiritual experience. Kissing you is a spiritual experience. Laughing with you, hearing your voice, smelling you, touching your hand, like all of that is a spiritual experience with you, and you're in it exactly with me. So we're experiencing similar a similar experience. I mean, we're two different individual people, so of course we're having two different experiences together. But it's really closely connected.
Yeah, the energy is there, the feeling is there.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and I know that we feel it f- with and from each other,
Mhm.
because we're both pretty tuned in.
Yeah. And we both want it, and we both see how much each of each other had been healed, because when those old dynamics do start coming up, we know how to articulate it. We know how to handle our shit. We know how to not take it out on another person. We know how to not hold that other person responsible for trying to make it be better or go away. And we don't try to fix it for one another.
Yeah,
That's how I know that we've worked on those dynamics in our past, in our lives, is because you don't try to fix it for me and I don't try to fix it for you. I'm like, this is on you. I trust that you're going to be able to fix this for yourself because I know that you have. And so I'm going to let you fix it for yourself and give you your space. And when I'm processing stuff, you give me my space to process it. And I appreciate that. And if I need you at that moment to lean in, I tell you, I need you right now.
yeah.
And you're like, yeah, and that's great. But I still am not asking you to fix me.
No, you're
Yeah.
not. You're not asking me to carry the weight for you. You're not asking
No.
me to do the work for you.
Exactly.
you know, and giving each other space also doesn't necessarily mean literally
Right.
going to a different room and sort of being on your own.
Mm-mm.
You know, I can be supporting you and giving you space while we're curled up in bed together,
Exactly.
just holding you and being present with you, right? Without talking even. It's just like that's me giving you space.
Yeah, yeah, it's not distance from one another.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
It's just time to go through the process of what you need to go through until you're ready to talk about it.
Hmm.
Because I trust you're going to talk about it because you do.
Yeah, because it's important to me. Because I've spent too much goddamn time not talking about it, and not knowing myself, and not knowing what to do with the way that I felt, and not being able to get out of my own um, feedback loops. So I'm gonna talk about that shit now,
Yeah,
because this is the way. This is the way. This is how
that's
I
right.
prefer to. This is how I prefer to be. This is what feels good to me. This is what feels natural for me now. Wouldn't change it for the world.
Hell no. Too much work to change it now. There's no going back.
That's right. I'm stuck. Stuck with each other for eternity.
Mm-hmm. Eternity and beyond.
Infinity and beyond.
Yeah, well, whatever. I changed it. Okay. All right. Well, we're at an hour and a
Indeed,
half.
precision. Precision is my thing.
I think we talked enough.
I think we talked enough about more or less we talked enough about like family dynamics for now. I'm sure it'll come up again.
Yeah, probably. Okay. I'm going to stop recording.